Hi, everyone. Jeff Lee here, Program Director of TMASF Connects. I'll once again be joined by Jen Pollard, our Chief Operating Officer, and Shirley Lin, our Marketing Associate. Today, we are continuing our series of informational interviews with Dale Roberts, founder of Centarus. As a disclaimer, please note that Centarus is a partner and the IT team of TMASF Connects. We are continuing our series on cybersecurity, and today's topic will be on managing passwords and sensitive information. We do have a fact sheet available online, and notes for some of the terms used today will be available at the end of the video as well. And jumping right in, Dale, what advice can you give for selecting and managing passwords?
Jeff, I'd say the first recommendation would be this day and age, you want a password. Doesn't have to be complex. It will be complex just by nature of having 3 short words kind of morphed together, like a passphrase, for example, followed by usually 1 or 2 numbers and a character. So for example, cave, hat, car, 96%, something like that. So they call it a passphrase. The key, I think, with the passphrase these days is you want it to be 12 characters minimum, which happens pretty easy if you phrase it up like that. And you may even want to do first letter capitalized. So first letter capitalized, 3 short words, couple numbers, and 1 or 2 characters. That's going to be a secure password over 12 characters. Also, the old advice about needing to change your password every 90 days, every 120 days. Do not do that anymore. It's found to be less secure. If you have a complex password, it's over 12 characters, it makes more sense to keep that unless you know of a vendor where the password was used that was breached. If you know there was a breach, which there are a lot of these days, reset the password immediately, but make it that 12-character phrase. There's my long-winded answer.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned passphrase. I think technology is advancing so fast nowadays that the password is quickly becoming antiquated. And I also want to get your thoughts quickly on reusing passwords. I think we are all guilty of that to some degree. But what's the harm in that?
I think the more complexity, the better in terms of security. Mm-hmm. I'd feel more comfortable if it was a 12-character passphrase that was reused, but not usually advised to reuse a password. It's you want some variety there, because if there is, even if it's a couple if it's in, let's say for example, you go to log into your Netflix, and then for simplicity's sake, you just want to use the same password for I don't know, your automated car wash or your Chinese food order or your bank account. So that's the first thing is if your password is hacked, they're going to use that. It's all based on kind of an algorithm and a framework and how you move forward with the hack. But if they see evidence of any kind of duplicates, or they're gonna use that to their advantage. So you want to avoid reusing passphrases.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dale.
Sure.
So Dale, how is using a password manager, for example, Passgator or LastPass, how's that safer than having a physical or an online spreadsheet? It seems like if they get compromised, that's going to become a big issue for you.
Yeah, that's a good question. So password managers it's a central point of security in a very secure environment where you've got redundancies. You're usually in a co-location facility that has something called SOC compliance. There's also how they protect PII information, personally identifiable information, is going to be much more secure than keeping it in your notebook under your mattress. There can be a fire, there can be a theft, there can be an accident. Yeah, but for the most part, you want it centralized, you want it secure, you want it redundant, and you want it maintained. It's like the same concept, but where do you want to keep your money? Under your mattress, or do you want to keep it in a bank? So treat your password like a bank.
Okay. And Dale, do you happen to know what's the monetary cost associated with using password managers?
Yeah, there's some out there that are It's a nominal cost, in my opinion, from $4 going up to about $15 is probably the most expensive I've seen per user per month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
So Dale, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, considering even if it's $15, the return on your investment is going to be, tenfold.
Right.
Yeah.
So Dale, what if we lost our password to the password manager?
So there are a couple ways. It's called your master password, is what you're referring to. So if you lose your master password, you can retrieve that through a couple means, one of which, for example, my PAM, my password access management tool, allowed me to print almost like a QR code, but it's hexadecimal. So it's a plethora of numbers and letters, but it was one page printout. So that's kind of like my master key. So if the master password's ever lost, I can show that like a QR code to retrieve to reset my master password. So there'll be some methods like that. Others will involve, two-factor authentication or sometimes three-factor, depending for resets.
Okay.
Jumping back a little bit to the monetary costs of password managers, Dale.
Sure.
So you're paying $4 to $15 a month per user, but they all just store my passwords, right? What's the benefit of paying more for a password manager?
I knew you were going to ask that question, Jeff. So there are some features. A couple of people just don't like to make up passwords as well. When you use a password manager, you could use something called a secure password generator. So that can be advantageous. A lot of these standard PAMs will have a browser plugin as well. So you could literally just have that plugin on the browser, authenticate one time when you start using your computer, and then it's almost like a secure tunnel for how you're authenticating for each of the websites. That's another perk. You've got a team, a SOC, a Security Operations Center, watching that facility, and all those denial of service attacks are happening, how they're going to minimize those or of course, keep them out of the facility. You can share your password securely using a PAM as well, doing a secure link. There's something called role-based permissions. So you can, if you grow as a company, you have 50, 100,000 employees, you could really restrict how those passwords are accessed based on a department or function. So some examples there. I prepared.
Kind of leads right into my next question.
Sure.
I guess for organizations as well as for personal use, is there a benefit in using multiple password managers? Maybe some for banking versus vendors or online shopping?
Yeah, no, good question. I think that kind of begs the question, how do you want to treat or how do you want to protect your PII data? Because you can, for example, you can log into your online shopping or your Netflix or your bank for that, just using cached passwords. If you log into your browser once, there are going to be some requirements that will force another layer of security like 2FA. For example, if you log into your bank based on those last three, you will be prompted, even if it's the same computer you've been using for at least two-factor authentication. Maybe if you're traveling with your laptop, you might get prompted twice to concur on the GeoIP is what it's called, and get an email as well as like 2FA. So it depends. So I think how you should definitely have a separate PAM for work versus personal for sure. But I think how you manage and how you treat and how you secure your passwords and your access is dependent on the type of data. Maybe it is just Netflix, where it's not a big deal if your Netflix gets hacked. But if it's your bank account or investment account or a work database, which may have a lot of PII information, you want to adhere to standards. And also in the work environment, there's a lot of compliances that are popping up these days. I believe CCPA is a big one, state of California. There's HIPAA, there's SOX, there's FINRA, and all these will give some very detailed requirements on how to adhere to these passwords.
Now, wrapping up on this topic of managing your passwords and your sensitive information, is there maybe one takeaway that we didn't cover in today's discussion that you would like our audience to know about?
I think it's just being aware, stay with your cybersecurity training, use a PAM. First and foremost, really understand your data. And is this financial information? Is this survey information? Is this just, information which may not be as important as other data? And understand where your data lives, how it should be managed. Also consider your email traffic and your contents. Think about what you send over emails, and make sure you're using something like legal hold, which means your emails will be backed up and retained in case of a disaster or larger problem. So you start with thinking about your data. Ask your IT company or your MSP firm, do we have the right measures in place for protection, for backup, et cetera?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time today, Dale.
You bet, Jeff.
We hope everyone finds these videos helpful. For more information, please visit our website and see our fact sheets at tmasfconnects.org. If you want more information on IT solutions, please reach out to Centarus at centarus.co. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi.
All right. Bye-bye.